So federal hiring has been largely frozen this year for many agencies, but not all of them. There's some agencies that are getting flooded with applications. Tens of thousands of applications. So many, there's no way to review them all. You can't do it. A person can't do it. So you have to use AI, artificial intelligence. This is happening in the Department of Homeland Security, and you probably already guessed it, but it's happening within ICE. So, as you can imagine, there's been a huge surge in interest in applications to ICE. You know why? $50,000. That's why. $50,000 incentive to sign up. Now, you got to pass the academy, yeah. You got to agree, there's a service agreement. You got to stick around for so many years. But if you could do those two things, you can go ahead and put some money in your pocket. Now, the interesting thing about this hiring surge, it's not like the other one where you're looking at special agents. This one, most of the attention is in the CIO office, the Chief Information Officer's office. So this attracts a lot of tech talent, a lot of IT specialists. 2210 job series, GS13, GS14, talking about six-figure salaries. If you were looking in the federal government right now for a job, this is probably the most stable area. You know that you're going to have some semblance of job security if you decide to work here. Now, tens of thousands of applications, so AI is being used, right? How is it being used? AI is looking at the resumes. Now, I'm not saying a human being isn't going to look at it, but AI is sorting through a lot of those resumes. And it's not just about keywords anymore. You know how it was previously. Keywords were all the rage. You just stuff keywords into your resume to give yourself the highest probability of getting referred, maybe getting an interview. It's not all about keyword stuffing. So if they're looking for, I don't know, an analyst position, you knew the words to put in there in order to get a high hit rate. AI knows more than just keywords. AI understands context. So when you have your achievement bullet on your resume, it's not just looking at, let's say the keyword is SQL. It's not just looking for SQL. It's looking for, what did you do in SQL? How did you manipulate the database? What does that achievement bullet even look like? So you have to move beyond keywords. To have a group of people manually review tens of thousands of resumes, 60,000 in this specific case, they had 60,000 applications, 60,000 resumes in a short period of time. It's mathematically impossible to do it with just a few people. You have to use AI. You had the OCIO bragging just last year about their AI resume tool. They said it would streamline hiring. It would cut something like 70% of the hiring process down, which seems great. It seems great. If you're the one getting referred and interviewed, yeah, it seems wonderful, right? Because you're able to cut all that time off. But if you don't get the interview, well, you probably don't like it too much. You probably think that AI or the system or the computer software or whatever the case, they overlooked you. You're the one that has the skills and experience, but they overlooked you, right? That's probably going to be a source of frustration. Now, also over at the DHS, they got a little something called the Cyber Talent Management System. This thing was launched in 2021 under the Biden administration, and it's not just for ICE. They use it in a lot of sub-agencies within DHS. They use it over in FEMA, right? What does this do? Well, number one, there's an exam connected to it, so you have to sit for the exam. It also allows federal workers to come in under the accepted service. That grants a lot more flexibility with the hiring process. And in this specific situation, you can exceed the GS15 pay cap. So right now, I think the pay cap's probably at $196,000 a year. So you can go to 200. Yeah, I think you can go all the way up to 225 this year. Next year is probably going to be more than that. So it allows the government to compete more with the private sector to try to offer those higher salaries. Another thing that ICE is doing is they're getting around the background check. You know, they don't want to wait on the background check. It takes a long time. So you get somebody in training right now, and then later on, if there's a red flag, well, they can address that. And I don't think that's that big of a deal. It seems kind of alarming when you just say it like that, but The Department of Defense has been doing this for years. They give somebody an interim clearance. That thing can be banged out in a week, less than a week. You get yourself an interim clearance, and then you're waiting for the background check, which typically takes 4 to 6 months in a lot of cases. Depends on your situation. Now, they're also using AI for the background check at this point, allegedly. Maybe they can speed that thing up. So you're in training, and then all of a sudden something pops up. Turns out you got $1 million in debt that's outstanding. You haven't been paying on it. They can kick you out for that. That you lose your interim clearance, you're gone. Maybe you got some felonies. Did some bank robbing back in the day. You robbed a couple of banks. Maybe there's some assault charges that you weren't honest about. You weren't being very transparent. So we've seen dozens, I think over 100 people actually get kicked out of the academy. We're talking about ICE, primarily special agents. They're getting kicked out of the academy because there's a red flag that pops up during their background check. But they're not waiting around any longer. An interim clearance is essentially like temporary permission to work with classified information. That's what it is. One of the big reasons that ICE is so focused on growing its tech talent is ICE has become more of a target when it comes to hackers attacking them through cyber attacks. They've become a big target. One is for political revenge. There's a group called the COM. It means the community, which is a group of younger hackers that have the experience, they have the skills to do cyber attacks. Now I say younger because these people are in like their late teens, early 20s. I'm in my mid 40s at this point, so they seem younger to me. So you have that, right? Political revenge, let's call it. The second is, well, you got your usual suspects, China, Russia, and Iran. They're always on the cyber attack train. They're always having a cyber party, trying to get as much information as possible. And then you have the profit motive. There is sensitive information that you can extract from these systems, and maybe you can have a ransom. Maybe you could charge a ransom. I don't know if anybody would pay it, but it's possible. The bottom line is what we're seeing right now is the government is building the largest deportation machine in modern U.S. history. It's only growing larger and larger. Hiring events are also very frequent. I posted a hiring event in the last newsletter I sent out, and I received a response from somebody who was concerned. They asked me, why are you advertising or why are you promoting a CBP hiring event, which is Customs and Border Protection? They went on to say that, are you not aware that some of these federal officers are engaged in illegal or immoral activity? And it's true, there were some ICE agents recently that were busted for doing the wrong thing, doing, horrendous things. And I'm not advocating for them at all, but I'm saying that you can have bad actors within an organization, and the organization can still be a worthwhile place to work. Now, if you don't align with the immigration or what the administration is doing, then that's fine. Don't apply to ICE. Don't apply to CBP or to be a border agent or whatever the case may be. But these opportunities still exist. There's tens of thousands of people that are applying, as we just went over. So it could be a good opportunity for, certain people. Now, if another administration comes into office, if they're left-leaning, do a lot of these jobs go away? Yeah, they go away. ICE will probably be shrunk down to its original size. I don't think it was intended to be this large, but it is what it is. It is this large. And if it does shrink into the future, if you are somebody with federal experience, you can use that experience and you can try to compete for one of the many other federal jobs that we currently offer in the federal government. There's over 300 types of jobs. And as of right now, even with all the stringent measures that we have in place under this administration, there's over 5,000 open jobs, open to the public. So they are still hiring. Not every agency is hiring. There are some agencies that are doing absolutely no hiring. Education department being one of the primary examples. But there are opportunities out there. In addition to this, when it comes to usajobs.gov, there's been some strange and confusing messaging coming out of that website. usajobs.gov, that's the primary website when you're applying for federal government jobs. And we all know at this particular point that the standard is a 2-page resume, except when it's not. And there are actually over 1,000 jobs where 2-page resumes are not the standard. If you want to know more about that, check this video out next. Stay updated by signing up to the free newsletter down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.